Hello, welcome back to Chapter 6. I'm going to divide these up into different videos so they're not as cumbersome for you to load up online. Next we're going to talk about the, I believe this is the space matrix. Yes, the space matrix. Space matrix is deceivingly simple. The space matrix often gives students problems because they overthink it. I'm going to give you a way to do it that's a little bit easier than the book method. I highly recommend you go with my method. I've been doing this, as I mentioned, a lot of years, and the book method is a little bit drawn out and unnecessary. I think sometimes with textbooks they need to make things seem a little more difficult than they really are just to justify their the existence of the textbook. And to add more pages. So we're going to do it the easy way, and we'll get basically the same answer as if you did it the a little bit more complicated way. First thing you do with the space matrix is we need to set up the matrix. So draw a big X, and then we label the 6 and -6. Alright, then we label our axes. This one is your fiscal position, FP. Over here we have our industry position, IP. Next we have our stability position, SP. And we have our competitive position, CP. If you happen to be using an older edition, I don't recommend it, but if you have one and are using it, these labels are a little bit different. They use some different terms. They mean the same thing. So if you see something different, don't worry. It's just fine. All right, now we have to figure out where the company falls on this matrix. And the book gives you a rather complicated way of figuring that out. We're going to simplify. Let's do it for Krispy Kreme. So what we have to figure out is where on this axis Krispy Kreme falls. Does it fall at the, this is being in a great fiscal position, all the way down to here, where we call it a stability position, but basically if you're down here, that means you're very fiscally unstable. So, very strong fiscally, very weak fiscally. Where does Krispy Kreme fall? And you'll do this for McDonald's. Where does McDonald's fall? Very strong fiscally, very weak fiscally. And you just pick a spot on that axis. So for Krispy Kreme, currently they've had some trouble, but they're still profitable. The last I checked, my information could be old. I'm going to give them on a scale, 6 being best, -6 worst. I'm going to give them a 1. So I'm just going to mark that a little so I remember it. Just give them a 1. Okay, next thing, industry position, competitive position. Where on this axis do they fall? Once again, this is the strongest place. This is if basically you're a monopoly. You're the only game in town, you're doing great, there's not a lot of competition. This is you're in an industry with massive amounts of competition. Maybe you're struggling, maybe you're trying to get your name out there. This would probably be a donut company we've never heard of, would be down here, and this would be the very top, biggest, best in the whole world. And so where does Krispy Kreme fall on that? Well, in the world donut market, there aren't that many competitors. I mean, you got Dunkin' Donuts, you got a few others. So Krispy Kreme probably is doing fairly well in this area. At the same time, they aren't taking advantage of it, and so their strength they aren't as strong as they could be. If they had more outlets, they'd probably get a higher ranking, but they are well known and they're doing well. So I'm going to give them a 2. Once again, this is very subjective, and the book's method of doing it is also subjective. It's just more complicated. But even with the subjectivity, you're going to end up in basically the same place. So we have to mark our spot. So here we are. We're in this quadrant. So what does that tell us? Well, each quadrant is labeled. Here you have conservative. Here you have aggressive. I'll just put 80. And here you have competitive. And here you have defensive. So what does all this mean? It means whichever quadrant you land in, that's the type of strategy you should choose. So if we landed in this quadrant, so we should choose an aggressive strategy. And one of the things you probably, as you just did the SWOT matrix, most of the strategies that we chose tended to be aggressive. And you'll typically see that connection, that the strategies you come up with in the SWOT matrix will tend to match this. That's good confirmation that you're on the right track. The strategies we came up with for Krispy Kreme did not say sell half your stores, which would be down here. And so we'd have a problem if all of our strategies in the SWOT matrix were aggressive and we do this and it comes out defensive. Then we have an issue, and we may need to go through that and figure out where we need to be and where we made our mistake. But that's double confirmation that we're on the right track. There's really not much more to this than what I just did. And often students try to make this a lot more complicated than it is because it seems so simple. Don't worry about it. It is simple. Do it, confirm, and then move on to the next one. All right?